Time to go charge up. Time to go do some winning. Yeah, we just been resetting telephony and tethering and stuff. And every time I woke up, pretty much, a couple of times. And it seems to be working for us. I have no more reboots. Disabled. I'm also disabling tether settings in the same script with network stack. Permission config, tethering in process on the 850. It's working, I guess. I haven't had any more weird shit happen. I don't even think they grabbed the phones last night when I slept, so I didn't sleep much anyway. They pissed here again. They're fucking around, fucking walking around here all the fucking night long. Go ahead and go charge that.
Você deu um pouco, não?
So these opening from way back when. Just like the moon Mercury theft, the stolen Mercury from the moon. They also have Mercury as well. The Ophanim have Mercury. And that's what makes them fly and float around. Now, of course, if they became a target for not only for helping the Nephilim, but having been created by the Nephilim. And the Ophidim became a target because of the mercury they had. So this guy, like a fucking butcher, a poacher, a trafficker of fucking organs. This guy harvested the mercury from some of the Ophidim he's been capturing, and then dumped them, and they died. You understand? Because that's how they get around. That's how they move around. They need the mercury to move around and to float around and to, have a field around them to make sure that it keeps them warm, not cold. It's everything. It's everything that you need, that they need, that the Ophidim needs to have. Depends on the mercury that they have for living, for being, for moving around, for warmth, for energy, and so on. Understand? This guy, just like when they stole the mercury from the moon in the Tartary buildings, they did the same thing with the Ophidim. They captured the Ophidim after the war was over, after the Nephilim lost, which they did. They captured the Ophidim quietly. They harvested the mercury from the Ophidim and left them to die. You understand? It's now keep in mind, these Ophidim are they're more like EMF creatures. The mercury that they have creates an EMF field. That's how they speak to you. They don't have a mouth. They don't have vocal cords, a voice box. They speak to you because of the mercury that they have, which creates an EMF field so that they can speak to you if they want to speak to you. So if this guy harvested the mercury, they could not move. They died where they were dumped, and they couldn't speak anymore or move or probably live for very long. So you see, it's just like with the Tartary buildings, stealing the mercury from the Tartary buildings and leaving nothing. Just like with the moon, stealing the mercury from the moon, which they did. Understand? Atrocious crimes. Of course, they were hoping nobody would know. These motherfuckers, they have done a lot in secrecy. Hoping nobody would catch on. Yeah. Cutting the trees and then dumping them in the Sahara as fucking sand. That's another big one. Yeah, to make sure that nobody is the wise guy. Nobody is the wise guy when it comes to where the fuck the trees went, as big as they were. Where the fuck would they go? If they were petrified, where's the rest of them? Well, if they were petrified, the rest of them is in the fucking Sahara. That's where they are. Understand? It's it's a lot of dog shit on that ledger. Stuff that we have yet to find out about. You understand? The number one war criminal, numero uno war criminal that the world has never heard of. Yeah? The number one war criminal that the world has never heard of. Understand? It's you know, like I said before, it's the reason why those Nephilim died in Scandinavia not that long ago. The last ones that died up there is because there was no Ophanim to watch over them. That's what they're for. They were, you know, the Ophanim are paired with a Nephilim to be watching the Nephilim, to guide the Nephilim, and it's you know, killing the Nephilim was a faster way. You know, killing the Ophanim. Killing the Ophanim was a faster way to kill the Nephilim as well. That's why the last ones died in Scandinavia, because there was no Ophanim to watch over them, to tell them, and, you know, to guide them. Understand? It works as a pair. They work as a pair. And that's why there's no more white people in here anymore either. You understand? Now, without them, there is no white people. That's why, like I said, in Christianity and Catholicism, it's interesting, Norse mythology does not mention them, though they should. They tell you things about Odin and Thor and frost giants, stuff like that. Not specifically about the Nephilim or the Ophanim, though they should say something, and it would be in their interest to say something about the Ophanim and the Nephilim in Norse mythology. It doesn't. I don't think it does. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that it doesn't. But nonetheless, the last ones definitely died up there. The last ones definitely died up there in Scandinavia because they had nowhere else to go. They had nowhere else to go except the wilderness of Scandinavia, where you would have the most white people and the least amount of enemies. A natural habitat, if you will. Like I said, they found this guy, one fella in Antarctica. Who knows if he was mixed or not. They cut off his finger in Antarctica. Probably the wrong area to be in. I don't think there's anything down there. But, you know, the last ones definitely died in Scandinavia. Particularly because they didn't have an opening guide. And I can't fucking breathe, man. Oh, shit. So, I'll say that there's you know, the Ophanim and the Nephilim, they had to be separate creatures. The human body does not work on Mercury. You can either be on the ground walking like this, and it's not so hard if you're 100 feet. It's not so hard if you're 50 feet. It's hard when you're 6 feet, for sure. I despise it. I despise it, truly. I am sick of it. After 10 years and doing a whole lot of walking in Romania as well, because we didn't have a car, I despise walking with a passion. Obviously, it's not a problem if you're 25 feet, 50 feet. You get there very fast, but you know, the Nephilim and the Ophanim had to be separate creatures. A human body does not run on Mercury. Yeah, that's for aerospace. Down here is for walking, for being on the ground. Yeah, aerospace, dominance, Ophanim, flying around with Mercury. Unlimited energy source, right? Down here is for walking. They had to be, you know, could you say, why didn't the Nephilim just have some kind of like Nephilim hybrid or of you know, Mercury? Well, it's not human. You can't breed. You can't breed more Nephilim that way. You need something human on the ground. You understand? You can't have Mercury. It's dangerous. It is corrosive. It is fucking toxic to a creature that's not equipped to handle Mercury. Understand? You either want to be human or not. You know, that's the thing. Now, the Ophanim, obviously, they think like humans. They act like humans. They don't look human, but for all intents and purposes, as far as human behavior, they are human. Yeah, for all intents and purposes, they're just like humans. They just don't look like it. So, you know, that's... Man, I'm so fucking tired. Oh my God. I think they're bringing eggs and stuff today. What time is it? Well, this fella might be down there already. We're gonna check. Yeah, those had to be, the Ophanim and the Nephilim had to be two distinguished types, because one runs on Mercury in aerospace. The Nephilim were humans for walking on the ground. Yeah, you have in an army, you have aerospace forces and you have ground forces for walking on the ground. You know, you have flying fucking jets,
and you have an air force and you have a ground force. Like I said, it's you have to have one is for above, one is for the ground. You understand? Ophanim for intelligence, vision intelligence, Nephilim for ground infantry, ground forces. Yeah, it is obviously, air dominance. Ophanim flying around with Mercury, unlimited energy source. It's more advantageous but it's not. You want to be human, right? You want to be you want to be spreading around more Nephilim. You got to be on the ground. Yeah. So you see, it's obviously they later came up with the Vimanas anyway. So the Vimanas kind of replaced the Ophanim. That came later, though, apparently after the war, or before the end of the war. It came a little bit later, apparently. You can't. And that's, let's see if anybody is down here right now. Yeah, he is down there. So that's the reason why the Ophanim and the Nephilim are two separate creatures. One runs on Mercury. Down here you cannot have Mercury in the human body and then expect to be healthy, right? Not designed to be holding Mercury in your body like an Ophanim. And like I said, they were designed for airspace. Nephilim are for ground walking on the ground, being more human, right? And yeah, obviously flying around is a lot easier with Mercury, but then again, not exactly human. Now, like I said, I am not degrading the Ophanim in any kind of way. Human intelligence, human thinking, human reasoning, they just look apart. Obviously built different. Does not mean that they don't behave like humans. They do. It does not mean that they don't understand the world like humans, because they do. They do think. See, it's a crime to get, be like, degrading them would be treating them like animals, harvesting the fucking mercury from them, and treating them like animals, when they should be treated like any other Nephilim or human, right? Just because they look apart and they are built differently. Yeah, they think like humans, act like humans, reason like humans. They just fly around and have some mercury. That's all it is, right? Downgrading them would be treating them like animals and harvesting the mercury from them. Yeah, that would be a downgrade to an animal. A fish. They got the good catering today, guys. Yeah, it smells very good.
They got a soup. They got juice as well. Or we got juice.
For me now, son.
Okay. All right, man. Jay?
Yeah, yeah, it's alright, brother, yeah.
You don't want the food?
Yeah.
Hey, you alright, my friend?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Alright.
I think I came over here to look because I was missing. There's no charge. This is gonna wait for Andrew. Yeah, this is much better. Down that way.
Sorry?
It's down that way. Yeah, and it's gonna be to your left. Apple juice is nasty. Let's go ahead and do some charging. Again, 50% of this is 22 right now. Now, it appears to me that though other people in other, like I said, Asian countries don't have any of this, don't follow any of this information in their religious texts. And it's not because they don't want to. Something to believe in. Something real, something that people saw, something that was manifesting in reality, right? Not a deity that you might have not seen, something that you actually did see. This motherfucker is telling them not to put it in their religious texts. That's right. Whoever's fucking around with this bag, these people, told everybody in Asia not to write anything about it. You definitely have people in Asia who do and who have heard about this and believe in it. Yeah? But this this fella with the bag told them all not to say anything about it in their religious texts that they have. You understand? Yeah, you do have people in Asia that know about it, have heard about it, are probably interested in it. They believe in it. But this leadership with the back told them all not to write about it anymore. Don't talk about it. Believe in Buddha. They gave them Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z. Not to downgrade the god, But you know, not to downgrade their God. I'm sure many of them believe in it. But it looks ridiculous, right? A little bit, you gotta admit. What is that, Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z? That's what they gave them. What happened with the Ophanim and the Nephilim story? Why don't you tell them some of that instead? You know, have them choose. Maybe they want to choose the Nephilim and the Ophanim over Buddha. I don't know. Right? See, this guy told them all not to discuss it or talk about it or put it in any religious text. So the story is a lot less prevalent in Asia. Right? Whoever this leadership is with the bag. I got more spikes in my eyes from these trees. I'm sweating bullets here, man. Fucking apple juice was nasty. I am sweating for whatever reason. This shit that we've been eating, it causes sweating.